I'm Summer Chavez, and I'm here to talk to you about the Great Barrier Reef. It is one of the world's largest natural wonders, not only because of the size, of course, but also because of how many different species live in that ecosystem. I find this inspiring because of how many different species probably interact with each other and still carry out their tasks, their everyday tasks, when we as humans probably interact with different types of personalities and people, and it may be hard to continue to thrive in our environment when these fish and different species do it every day. So it is stated in Sea Scrape Patterns and Dynamics of Coral Reefs that the ecosystem is not only important to marine life but also to human life. So here is a example and picture of turtles, fish, coral, algae that you can't even see thriving in their ecosystem. And then here is a picture of the coastline. And if you didn't know, the coral reef ecosystem is along the Australian coastline. So it's important to the humans that way by naturally being a barrier, an actual barrier, um, protecting from storm damage and natural erosion. So I will be talking to you about how emotionally, as I stated, it's a part of the Australian culture, and a way and how the great size of the coral reef system matters and is important to the flourishing ecosystem. So it is stated by the Great Barrier Reef by UNESCO that the Great Reef is the largest coral reef ecosystem on the planet, which I think is cool. So it's 1,400 miles long and 133 square miles takes up 133,000 square miles. So UK, Switzerland, and the Netherlands combined would not equal the size of the coral reef ecosystem. So I think that's pretty big. But that size is not being put to waste. Of course, some of it is the coastline, and then the rest of it is for the species and their area to thrive and carry out their tasks to keep their home safe. So an example of that are these small species that are small, but I think very important to the ecosystem. So this one over here is called the Zooxanthella, and it basically just helps recycle nutrients. So it's a small part, but recycling the nutrients I think is very important to keep the ecosystem going. And then this one over here is called a polyps. It's like the foundation of the actual coral reefs. So these small organisms are like the foundation of the whole ecosystem. I I would think. I do think. But so then if we go to bigger species like the fish, they have a mutualism relationship where they feed off the coral reef and then the fish come and have their housing there too. And they do this by sending out chemical signals to the fish saying, I have food for you. And it is the coral reef system works and flourishes because of how diverse it is. So there are 1,500 fish and 3,000 reef species, which is stated in the Encyclopedia of Tourism and Recreation in Marine Environments by Alexandra Culligan. So the different species all help each other, either fish, reefs, algae, they all play their part. I think it's very important. So as I stated earlier, the coral sends out signals to the fish to come in like, oh, I have food for you. And then they also help each other. The coral help each other by sending out signals like, oh, there's danger around. So that helps prepare themselves and be aware, because these are all living organisms and this ecosystem is important to them and their everyday lives. Just how I think it's, of course, not as important, because it is important to this marine life, everyday lives, but also important to the human life. So I think it is important that we protect our environment and maybe even take note to everything that they do in their lives and take it as inspiration to apply to our lives. Thank you for listening. Here are my note cards. I had to work. I didn't plan well. I'm very sorry for not having an audience. I understand those were the instructions. I apologize. But thank you for listening.